Guys, hold on, because this is a wild one. I recently had the pleasure to sit down and talk with Richard and Anastasia Elfman of the Hollywood Elfmans. Richard is the founder of the Mystic Knights of Oingo Boingo, a theater troupe that evolved into the band Oingo Boingo. He is the older brother of the legendary, the iconic film score composer Danny Elfman. And he is a screenwriter, a filmmaker, a musician, a food and wine connoisseur, a journalist. But what comes through more than anything else in this interview is that he is a performer. And he was joined by another performer, his wife, Anastasia Elfman, who plays no fewer than 4 parts in Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks, which is, this is actually what opened the door for me here, is these, the Forbidden Zone, which is this surrealist masterpiece that has just been released on Blu-ray via a director's cut, which has been colorized. It was shot in black and white with the intention of being colorized, but the money wasn't there. Now, it's back to the director's original vision. There's been some tweaks. He talks about it in the interview. And Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks. Anastasia, is what the soundtrack has been released as well. This is music by Ego Plum and Danny Elfman. Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks is wall-to-wall music. Anastasia Elfman is a classically trained musician. She's a dancer. And his muse, she is Richard's muse. That really comes through in this interview. He seems really inspired by her. What's fun, here's when you watch this interview, watch her reactions to what he's doing. I tried to zoom in on it as much as I could, but that's a whole other aspect to this interview. This was a lot of fun for me. I'm gonna put links to where you can purchase these in the description of this video, and if you purchase those, you will be supporting awesome outside the box creativity from some really cool people. This is about 30 minutes of a conversation that went the better part of an hour. I may put a director's cut together for Patreon. Stay tuned for that. But this was a delight, and I hope you have as much fun with it as I did. Are you ready? Take a deep breath. Let's go. Let's talk about the new releases. Let's talk about Forbidden Zone. Let's talk about Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks. So this is the color version of Forbidden Zone, right? And that's really interesting. Is this the home video debut of the color version?
The color version's been out for a bit, but I've made some subtle changes to the film.
It's a director's cut.
That's right. There were some things that I wanted to do 40 years ago and wasn't able to, but I was finally able to get them done.
I know it was shot, the original intention, as you state on the disc, is that you wanted it to be colorized back in the day, but it took this long for it to happen, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It was this technique in the 20s where they would like hand tint frame by frame. And I was going to send it to China or Korea and have that done, but went broke way before that happened. So the slow boat never made it to China. But we had a great colorization. It was done under my supervision. I remember even like they were asking me, looking at my brother, what color is his eyes? God, I don't know. It's like her eyes have like 2 colors. So I called Danny's wife, Bridgette Fonda, what color are the kids' eyes? Oh, like brown with a little hazel, whatever. And, you know, they nailed it. And her eyes for Bloody Bridget were turning like bright demon red. So it doesn't matter anyway.
I want to talk about Bloody Bridget, and I also want to talk about how you, Anastasia, you play 4 roles in Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks, which is crazy to me. Well, let's do that. We can bounce back and forth. So what do you bring to the table with 4 different roles? This has got to be a field day, right? This is going to be a lot of fun to do all these different parts in this movie.
I mean, it was so much fun. Each role was completely opposite and wild. I mean, a nun, a carny floozy, a ditzy blonde. I think I'm like uncredited as one of the clowns.
I don't know if you could play a dipsy blonde.
Hey.
She has a high IQ, I'm joking.
You guys are breaking up. I can no. That's good. So Richard, with Forbidden Zone, the color version, have you heard from anybody that's like, well, I like the black and white version, does anybody prefer the original? But at this point, there are people that have grown up with this movie, right? And they think of it as this one thing.
But the colorization is closer to my original vision. I just went broke before I got the vision, so it took 40 years.
The story is really told here. I want to make sure we're promoting this release because there's a ton of special features here. There's new stuff. There's stuff that's been carried over from previous editions. And you do tell a lot of the story on this disc about the financing issues, the long road to getting it done. How many years was it in it all told from start to release?
3 years. And I had gone bankrupt and lost my house before it was done. So I'd lost all control of the film. And then there was some weird thing where the music rights were just for 7 years that someone did. And then it was pulled off the shelves and it was bootlegged for 20 years. And then I put up my first website and I'm getting like tens and thousands of hits from all over the world, I guess, of people that had seen bootleg copies. And it was only like 10 years ago that I reacquired the rights. I mean, now I have full control of it, but I lost control for like 30 years.
Did you grew up in Hollywood, right? You grew up in the area.
Are you kidding? I was born in Watts and grew up in Crenshaw. And that's South Central LA. It might as well have been 1,000 miles from Hollywood.
Okay, Los Angeles, though. Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's my point. Did you have, both of you, this question is for both of you, did you have aspirations of what you're doing now, like, when you were younger? Was this a path you've been on for a while?
I mean, you were, what, ballet since 3, then?
I grew up in the theater, doing different theater stuff and doing ballet since I was 3. And so I'm from South Orange County originally, and so coming up and back for, competitions or performances. So this has always kind of felt like a home away from home. So yeah, I've always wanted to do.
I mean, my thing since I was 15 was like Afro-Latin African music. And it was just kind of through the back door that I ended up in theater. That I was the only white guy in this Afro jazz group, mostly percussion. And we get signed by Capitol Records. They send us to Vegas. We're doing a lounge act at Caesar's Palace just while we're cutting the record. And we had to do some little show, and by default, I directed it. It's a long story. Then I ended up getting into theater and then got invited into a French theater company. So life is...
It's crazy to me that you're telling me that this wasn't even your goal. It just kind of happened, because theater, and like when I watch your stuff, theater it's all over everything. There's such a performance. You seem really driven by performance art. There's art in general. Like you feel like, not in a pretentious way, but in that like the artist way, right? You're like, it doesn't feel like you're making things for mass consumption. It feels like you're making things to say what you want to say. Does that make sense? Am I saying that? You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay, so I started this, call it a Commedia dell'arte troupe called the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo with my brother Danny, that later evolved into the rock group Oingo Boingo. And the rule I had was nothing contemporary. We took gems from the past that people couldn't hear live, Cab Calloway, Duke Ellington, Josephine Baker, Django Reinhardt, and then completely crazy original stuff that my brother would do. But the rule was nothing contemporary. And so we had a stage show, which was fantastic. But it was an unwieldy group of a dozen people. It was hard to tour. And everything was kind of bending us into a smaller rock group. So I wanted to preserve on film what I was doing on stage. And that's Forbidden Zone, which is essentially the stage show of the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo.
On the Blu-ray, there are clips. There's footage of you doing the stage show. Is there a longer form presentation of that people can see somewhere? Is there like a whole hour of that?
Yeah, but I don't have all the rights. I don't know if I can ever show it.
Okay, that's a shame, because it
Although
needs to be seen.
People can go through some dimensional thing and creep into my brain at night. They can watch it.
We got to work on that.
Does that?
Let's see if we can make that happen. Maybe if we drink enough Johnny Walker.
Just levitating over me, putting the ray in my ear.
Where does this come from? What are the influences that you're drawing from? Now you say Cab Calloway, you talk about all the stuff that, and I've heard you talk about this before, is you wanted to, in the theater show, you wanted to present something, the nothing new idea. What are you, like the Elfman kids, right? What are you guys watching? What are you listening to? What is the ingredients in that sauce? Because you both are you're very driven, you're very talented. Where did this come from? Cartoons? French cinema?
I think there was, we grew up listening to classical music. Danny wasn't into bands, wasn't into music, had no musical training. And I had kind of this profound experience when I was 15 and was able to play Afro-Latin music. Danny had the same experience and could play everything. Violin, guitar, we're talking Django Reinhardt, Stephen Grappelli, the works.
Yeah.
Both of us, when we were around 15 or 16, had almost like a past lifetime thing, not trying to get mystical. And I still play Afro-Latin music, and Anna and I are in a band, Mambo Diabolico, which is on the soundtrack of Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks. And now that COVID is mostly over, our band is starting to gig again in Los Angeles. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you plan on doing any touring outside of Los Angeles? Or you're just going to stick there?
Yeah, we do. We're just offers right now.
Anastasia, do you share any of these influences? I know you come from a classical music background too. So is this stuff kind of familiar to you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I grew up watching, for me, it's a lot of like silent films or classic films. So I'm really into those type of things. And I mean, I just really connected with all of the things that Ricky's, pulled together.
By the way, she's a classical cellist and plays in Bloody Bridget.
Oh, that's going to be, okay, great. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Me too.
It's just like the list of accomplishments, it's like 4 roles, dancer, cellist, like what else are you hiding that you can do?
I mean, also on Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks, I did some stunt driving. I did second unit, like costume and makeup. I did I was like a clown in some of the scenes. So it's like, name it. If you need a body or a double, I was there.
Yeah, the kid's a trooper.
Yeah. Well, so one thing I wanted to ask you about, so between Forbidden Zone, or after Forbidden Zone, there's like, I think it's 13 years before your next film. What's going on during that time? I think it's 93 is your next film.
Well, I threw the head of a studio into a swimming pool at a black tie party to help my career. He had insulted these Brazilian musicians I had hired. I apologized for his behavior after. I did theater and played music. And I'm a writer. I've had a food and wine column for years, and then I had my own publication for years. So I write.
That's one of the things that interests me about you is, and this is actually, I was going to end with this question, but I mean, I might as well bring it up here, is theater, music, films, journalism, food and wine. You've got the barbecue bacchanals, if I'm saying that right. I mean, you guys both are pretty much doing everything. You're just following your heart and you're doing whatever feels right. And it's pretty impressive. And I was just wondering what your secret is to this life well lived.
Well, one, that portrait in my basement keeps getting older. And then I had to sell my soul to the devil to get her, but don't shh.
I saw an interview. I think it was a podcast. Paul Rubens was talking about this secret Hollywood. He was like, there's these places you can go and there's these shows that people don't know about and there's food that people don't know about. I think he was talking about you guys.
Paul's an old friend. He's been to our barbecues many times.
Yeah. I mean, the idea of that, and even I noticed it too, with Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks. Like there's a Hollywood, it's like a secret Hollywood underground kind of a thing. It feels like the Hollywood that the people who've been there a long time know about. It almost feels like a secret Hollywood. Is that intentional? Is that something that you just seem like that kind of a guy?
The barbecue bacchanals
Mm-hmm.
hard ticket to get. It's the secret Hollywood.
Yeah.
By the way, I grill for my cast and crews.
Yeah.
I'm a griller.
And when you show the movie, when you show Forbidden Zone, you have like sort of a Rocky Horror Picture Show experience, and you're grilling for them there too, right?
I do when I can. Yes.
Yeah.
I like to cook.
All of these things would, like, on their own, they're very interesting. But when you add them up, I'm just like, where in the world do you have the energy for this? Where do you have the passion for this? What I was asking you earlier is when you're making these movies, like I watch Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks, Forbidden Zone too, but it feels like it's just for you. I feel like you're making it for you because you want to make it, because it's this thing you've got in your head and you just want to get it out there. Anastasia, you're kind of nodding. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Completely. Yeah, no, he does projects that, like, first of all, makes him happy, and it's his creative shining through. It's nothing's been taken away. It's completely and 100% him. And so that's where that happiness and joyfulness comes from, because he loves what he's doing. And everybody around us, everybody on set, all of the crew, they love what they're doing. You know, it just radiates from him.
I don't pay them, but I feed them well.
Well, you do have, I mean, there is a joy to the movies. It seems like everybody's having a good time. There we go. I don't know if that pour got caught on camera or not. You might have to do it again.
Oh no. I'll cover it next time. Sorry. I'm sorry.
By the way, she's like a perfect textbook doting mother, housewife, wife, but there is a wild soul here that is crazy as I am. You have no idea. You have no idea.
Shush, honey.
I mean, I think some of it comes through in the movies. I think some of it comes. You have a YouTube channel, Richard, and I know some of these videos, like the performances. There's performances of you guys, and Anastasia, you're in them.
Yeah, we like sometimes to do like live pre-shows before screenings, where we'll go to a city and I'll find local musicians, and Anna, through the local burlesque community, finds burlesque dancers that she performs with and choreographs. And we put on like a hell of a show for 20, 30 minutes that goes right into the film. Fun.
Am I saying your name wrong? Is it Anastasia? I'm sorry.
All good.
Anastasia, not Anastasia. But
all right. We're going to start over, and we're going to back to one. We're going to start over, and we'll
do that right, dear?
Yes, you did.
I'm going to go back and dub over every use of it, but like, Anastasia. I'll do it in a weird voice, like Anastasia. All right, so we talked about Forbidden Zone. We talked about Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks. We should talk about Vern Troyer really quick while we're talking about Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks, because it was his final movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was. The guy was just great. He was charming on set. He's in like this little motorized wheelchair most of the time, but he insisted on doing his own stuff. He was a trooper, charming to the ladies. Just a joy. I was sorry to see the guy go. I mean, he was only like this tall. It was unreal a bit. I mean, we had other little people on the production, but he was like a little person's little person.
Sounds like you're...
Even learned his lines in the alien language.
Wow.
But God, yeah, I miss Vern. Yeah, he was like a big spirit in a little package, is the way to describe it.
Yeah.
And my son Bodie did these great improvisations with him. Bodie had to kiss his ass. He was like, Vern was like this powerful emperor, and Bodie was one of his clown servants.
I was going to ask you about Bodie. How was it to direct your son? What is that experience like to direct a family member like that?
Well, okay, here's the thing with my son Bodie. His wife, Jenna Elfman, Dharma from Dharma and Greg, currently co-starring in Fear the Walking Dead, is more famous. But if you look at Bodie's credits, there's like about 150 credits and a number of TV shows, like, what was it, like Criminal Minds or something.
Mm-hmm.
They call him for a day and keep him for 2 seasons. The guy is like a major craftsman.
Mm-hmm.
We had so much fun working together on Aliens. The biggest problem for me was not laughing off camera while he was performing. And sometimes, like I couldn't stop it. Like he'd hear my chuckles, and he's doing this heavy, dramatic scene, but absurd. But just a pleasure to work with.
I tried to, when I reviewed this on my channel, I tried to briefly describe the plot, and it's kind of impossible to describe the plot of Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks. You have to just say it's an experience.
Simple. An out-of-work actor wakes up with the key to the universe stuck up his ass, and it brings him into an intergalactic conflict between the clowns and the aliens. And he goes to Professor von Scheissenberg for help, but von Scheissenberg has a pretty blonde assistant, Helga, from Sweden, who has a pretty blonde sister named Inga. And the aliens confuse Bodhi's mind between the two, and that causes problems when he couldn't recognize one for the other, and he was just a victim of circumstances.
Talk to me a little bit about acting. So is this something that you are, what is that face?
Let's talk about acting.
So like, was this something, you know, we talked about being in the shadow of Hollywood. But no, is this something that like, are you going to be going out for auditions for things? Like where like I see there's a Bloody Bridget 2, and I haven't even seen the first Bloody Bridget. So do you have like this extensive
in Hollywood?
Well, by the way, she's Stella Adler trained, and I think she's been in about 15 screen queen roles right now. But underneath, like her ugliness and goofiness and all of that, like rough exterior, is a very sophisticated actress.
Do you have a theater background? Did you come from the theater?
Yeah, I grew up in the theater. So yeah, I mean, I've been doing this my whole life, and I've also done like practical effects, foam fabrication, props, costume, set design, all kinds of stuff. So I'm
a child of the theater.
I know it all.
You guys are made for each other. I'm telling you. It's just
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
I'm the hypnotist teller.
So tell me a little bit about Bloody Bridget. So that's you're working on it now, and I've seen people can there's like a little teaser that I've seen, but when do you think that's gonna? Just tell us about that movie.
Well, same crew, same composers that we had on Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks. And it's a kind of Haitian voodoo meets horror burlesque. A lot of fun.
And that sounds just like you. You got the music stuff, you've got the horror stuff, there's burlesque in there.
Amadai mistakes a burlesque dancer in Van Nuys for his long-lost wife, Maman Brigitte, and changes her into a Valentine vampire. What's that? She asks. Oh, you shall see. Sucking blood merely whets her appetite. She has to eat the beating hearts of her victims as they look on as it emerges from their chest. So it's bloody, it's sexy, and we'll probably be doing like screenings along with Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks and Forbidden Zone, like a package, and then do a live show.
In Los Angeles, in Hollywood, or elsewhere as well?
On Mars, the moon.
Great.
Elon Musk, we're working it out right now. And then Forbidden Zone 2.
Tell me about that. You've been talking about that for years now. What's going on with Forbidden Zone 2?
Oh, and I've almost made it about 4 times now. So it's kind of my bucket list film, Forbidden Zone 2. And it's going to happen in the next year or so. I've got a bunch of music, Duke Ellington, Hank Williams, this and that. And then the price went through the roof to clear this old music. Just a lot of stuff. It was just more expensive than we thought. And the way Hollywood works is it doesn't work. Is a salmon fighting its way upstream has an easier time of it than an independent director trying to do something original, but we somehow survive and do it. So Forbidden Zone 2 is my bucket list film. So that'll either come before or after Bloody Bridget 2.
I am really picking up what you guys are laying down. I love this whole idea of like, you know, we do this because it's fun. We do this because we want to, and it doesn't seem cynical. You know what I mean? There's so much art that's created out of a product created from cynical origins. And that's not what you guys are doing, and I think that's really cool.
Well, I'm underneath everything else, I'm an entertainer, and whatever I do, and I like to show them things they've never seen before and have great music by Danny Elfman and Ego Plum. By the way, Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks, it's an 86-minute movie with a 76-minute soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Just to die for.
And it's great music, too.
At the same team. But whatever we do is entertaining. Fast-paced, classic story structure underneath all the absurdity, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
To break down the 3 acts and character development and whatever. So it's grounded and it's absurd. And at least for the aesthetically sophisticated and the drooling insane, it's entertaining.
Your movies are so much fun, and I just love watching them and talking about them. I look forward to Bloody Bridget, and I look forward to Forbidden Zone 2. And again, we are here to promote the disc releases of these 2 films and the soundtrack. Danny, when you go to Danny Elfman, or Danny as you call him, do you have to like wait in line? Is he like, well, I'm sorry, I got a Doctor Strange movie I got to score first, or does he kind of prioritize you a little bit?
Well, it's the studios are totally up his ass, and well, Danny, you gotta help me! You gotta help me right now! You gotta hurry up and help me! No, Danny's great. He's generous, and Ego Plum's like another genius. Like, you know, Danny had no musical training, no musical background. Ego Plum, kid from East LA, Ernesto Guerrero is his real name. No musical training, and right now he got discovered in Hollywood. So like SpongeBob and all the top cartoons can't get enough of him, and he's getting animated features now too. So I've got the same problem that I have with Danny, is working around his paid gigs. Although Ego is the band leader of Mambo Diabolico that Anna and I are both in, and we're starting to gig again. We've got one coming up in a few weeks.
Well, tell people, so when people see this, where is it going to be so they can come check you guys out?
At the El Cid Theater, September 16th. This one isn't exactly pure Mambo Diabolico. It's an homage to Ima Sumac, this Peruvian singer with 5 octaves, although our singer, Lena Cardinal, also has 5 octaves in Mambo Diabolico. I play congas, Anna plays maracas, and is the hoochie coochie dancer and choreographer.
Is there anything else that's coming up right now that you want to tell people about? And is there?
On September 16th, and there'll be others. And then we're going to have more screenings of Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks and Forbidden Zone. We have it's a funny thing, a cannabis company is promoting a little drive-in tour coming up. We'll let you know.
Okay. It's
legal in California, and they actually serve it to the drive-in customers.
Anastasia, weren't you a military kid? Did I read that?
Yes, I was.
So, you seem like go ahead.
No, hit me. I can take it.
One might think that everything that we're seeing now is a reaction to a very strict upbringing. I grew up very strict as well, and it plants seeds of rebellion. And I just wondered if you could relate to that.
I don't know. I mean, it was kind of like a very, in some ways very strict, and then in other ways very creative. Like we weren't like we didn't have computers, we didn't grow up with game systems, so I was like I watched a lot of classic films. So like Hitchcock raised me, kind of thing. So I just I'm very into that, and I've always felt like a creative outsider growing up in like Orange County. So
No, we're talking young Marines every weekend, every summer. She can dance, have a broken toe, doesn't complain. I'm having her eat like bloody hearts, and she's like throwing up between takes, doesn't complain. But boy, are my clothes folded perfectly in the drawers.
I do like to keep things tidy. Yes, it's a problem. No, I mean, growing up doing ballet, there's like and with the youth group and stuff, there's like a regiment and an order to things and a way things should be done. So I don't know. I feel like it made me organized, and I get the stuff done.
And when I did that extra take, she gives it to me, no complaints. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
I grew up with very little money, but kind of a great intellectual thing going on in the house. My mother became an English teacher, and age 50 published her first novel, and then went on to publish 16 novels post age 50, 2 Emmys. So you might as well have said the religion in the house was secular Judaism, but it was really story structure and character development. And I can thank my mom that however crazy my films are, they're grounded with story structure that gives them pace and character development. So people say, well, this is a wild, crazy film with crazy images, but underneath is structure.
Did your mom watch your movies?
Oh yeah. And then we worked together for years. I had a magazine and a website called Buzzine, and she was my literary editor. But by the way, she interviewed Salman Rushdie, among other people.
Well, guys, did we cover it? I don't want to take up too much of your time, but did we cover everything that you feel like we needed to hit?
I guess so. Well, I'm very, very proud of the MVD release of Forbidden Zone Director's Cut and Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks. They did an amazing job on the Blu-rays and the DVD and the soundtracks. And the extras, I've got a lot of crazy stuff on it that you can't see unless you get the Blu-ray. And Bloody Bridget is coming up soon, and then we're going to link the 3 films and do like a road show.
We're both on Facebook, and we're both on Instagram and Twitter. And the films, they all have each their own Instagram and Facebook accounts. So that's where you want to go to follow. And there's updates, behind the scenes, little interviews, meet and greet information, those kind of things. So it's all fun.
Let me wrap this up, and I'm going to say goodbye to you guys off recording. But guys, check out the links in the description of this video. Pick these releases up. Support these awesome people that we talked to here. And guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk, to just be so generous with your time. I really appreciate it.
Good to hang with you, and we hope to physically see you up on a roof deck under the Hollywood sign, having our barbecue, perhaps with a performance.
Maybe, who knows?
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.